Welcome back to another episode of Inside Access Control, sponsored by SIA. Very excited today to have Michael Patton. He's the CEO of Fetch Package join me. Michael, thank you for taking the time to join us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So delivery, very topical, if you would, within our industry, especially in the multifamily space. But I think it's going to get even heavier in the commercial end of what we're doing as well. So with that, understand you're an expert in that area. I've got a company that's growing quite well in that spot. And so if you don't mind, why don't you just give a quick introduction to yourself, the company, and then we'll jump into the actual industry itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Michael. Founded Fetch about 4.5 years ago now. Originally founded in Dallas and then sort of expanded across the country, especially over kind of the last year and a half. So we're basically the first offsite package solution is how we frame it up. So we sign up full apartment communities at a time, and all of the packages, the resident packages, are redirected to our warehouses. And then we're actually performing final mile delivery. We give residents 2-hour delivery windows, and then our team of drivers is going, physically door to door and delivering those packages at a time that's convenient to residents. So we're just high level stats. We're in 15 markets, about 125,000 or so units right now, and growing pretty quickly. And to your point, it's COVID's been a challenge, but it's been an interesting year for increased package volumes and just sort of increased demand for our service as that problem has become more acute.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine now everybody getting everything delivered. It's sort of like, oh, look at the demand is even greater. It's not just about, porch pirates or not figuring out how to have storage and that. So yeah,
Right.
so the main customer, like you said, it is the actual communities. So they sign up for this as a service amenity, but then also, a solution provider because of the influx amount of packages that they're having to deal with. Is there additional? So if I'm a consumer, can I sign up for this, or like it's 100% through the you?
Strictly B2B, just through the apartment communities. So we've stayed pretty narrowly focused and just selling into the apartment industry directly.
I gotcha. Okay, so instead of lockers and things such as that, right? And do you drive it primarily to also based off? Is there like a density being sort of a key? Like if you're in Austin, you want to have as many sites there, or is it really sort of building by building? As like how is the business growing?
Yeah, so we take at least on the sort of warehousing side of things, we're taking more space, smaller, sort of scattered throughout the city. So we'll go to, at this point, mostly current clients, some of the bigger names in the space, and just as we grow in current cities, but also looking at future cities, each warehouse we need about 4,000 or 5,000 units on the front end to open that facility. And then we can grow up to 35,000 units at each warehouse. So frankly, our growth is mostly dictated by current clients and trying to push us into new geos. But certainly a big focus of ours is a city like Austin. We have 2 warehouses. DFW we have 4. Houston we have 3. So trying to fill up those warehouses and get more density within each of those submarkets.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, because it makes me want to believe that there's a part of this that you're in the warehousing logistics business that happens to deliver packages in some ways. Is that
Right.
is that fair? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of this sort of strange hybrid of, we're certainly warehousing logistics and final mile logistics, but we're also very heavily sort of customer experience centric, and we sort of view ourselves, in this specific niche as an extension of the staff, because we have a very direct relationship with their residents as well.
Yeah, I got you. And then yeah, because the end consumer being the person you're delivering the package to, there's a relationship that gets built there as well. And in
Right.
some cases, I can definitely see how people would the concierge aspect of this, I guess, right? Like that the attribute around that is an amenity. And the selling feature to basically say you don't have to worry about packages. We have this service, and we deliver to your door if you would when it's convenient for you. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I think Amazon has, sort of tailored everybody's needs towards, I want my package now, I want it where I want it, and when I want it. And so, we certainly play into that theme as well.
Yeah. So I guess on that, do you compete with them or do you partner? Like how do you view them?
Yeah, so we really don't compete with any retailer or carrier directly. We view ourselves as, Amazon and UPS and FedEx and any other retailer for that matter, sort of use us as a property management office in most regards, because they can deliver to our warehouse for 50 communities instead of going around to 50 different apartment buildings. So it kind of makes the process most efficient.
Actually, I could see them wanting more because like services like what you do because they could just one place they drop it off and actually that's interesting because then there's the benefits on their end as yours. So do you from a I guess who's paying for the services of the building themselves?
Yep, that's our loan revenue stream. So just the property owner.
Okay, I got you on that end. And then, are you so the courier type services as well? Is it just I say just, which I know is not that easy, but the packages side of it, or what are you getting into food delivery and everything else like everybody is doing?
We don't do, I mean, we'll accept food delivery or like a Blue Apron box or HelloFresh if a resident sends it to us.
Yeah,
But
but not my pizza order.
no, no. So we kind of draw the line as if you're ordering a pizza or even in some cases, like on-demand service, even some cases like a Prime Now, you don't have to go through us. You can go through us, but as long as the leasing office isn't expected to accept that package, then the resident has some options there.
Now, of how it actually works on that end, is it so if I order something, am I telling them to deliver it to your warehouse? That's how the connection's made.
Correct. Yep. So we only sign up for full apartment communities at a time, and it's basically rolled out as a new building-wide policy where all packages now go through Fetch. We'll provide usually about a month-long transition period to residents, and that's to help them sort of educate them on the process. And number one, and first and foremost, is changing their shipping address.
Yeah.
And so that is now their quote unquote Fetch address. So they actually change that address to our warehouse and send it directly to us.
That makes I can see how that would make a lot of sense on that end. Interesting. So if you don't mind, like in your background of like, how did you get into this outside of just seeing a need, or like, did you come from a background in logistics or that? So tell a little
I,
bit about the story.
I didn't come from real estate and I didn't come from logistics. So I decided to start a company that did both effectively. No, my background was corporate finance before this, and sort of probably had more of an analytical mind and looking for problems to solve. And I was in some big Fortune 100 companies in corporate finance and trying to look for an excuse to get out of that sort of lifestyle and start something on my own. And originally started the company in Dallas. And the whole reason that I started the company was I moved into a huge uptown Dallas apartment building that was getting 400 packages a day, and it was just a huge mess. And so that was what originally got the wheels turning on, how do we really solve this problem, completely now, but also permanently and more scalably going forward.
Yeah, it's a good founder story of how a lot of the times these things happen. It's like you're like, why is it that way? It doesn't need to be that way. I think I have a solution.
Right.
Yeah, so good for you on that. That's congratulations on doing that. So if I take a look at apartment buildings now and condo buildings and really multifamily, you have all of these property management systems as well. Do you integrate with those, or is it typically standalone? How do you view partnerships, I guess, is another way of putting it, to where your services are a feature of maybe a service that is already there?
Right. So we don't necessarily have to integrate with any of those systems. We do have an integration with Yardi and looking into the other PMS systems, but we try and take really as much of the burden off of the staff as possible, and we coordinate the onboarding and sort of rolling out at the building, really somewhat isolated from the staff just to save them time. But at the same point, everybody's obviously going to sort of trying to get it to a single mobile app for the community, or just a single platform in general. And we certainly want to be linked in as part of that community as much as possible. So that's even like the mobile doormans or other equivalent platforms like that as well. And then even as far as smart home platforms as well, looking into integrating with the SmartRents and the Stratuses of the world, and to help coordinate access for our drivers into the building, but also potentially eventually doing in-unit delivery even on our side.
That was gonna lead to the next question of your thoughts on, so before COVID, big push from the Amazons of the world and Walmarts and the rest of them, and really a lot of conversations around uh, unmanned delivery into units and that, and then COVID happens, and all of a sudden, no, that it's still there, but maybe not as as hot as it was before. But you could see the day where it's the option of saying, yeah, deliver into my unit when I'm not there. I don't care. What are your views on sort of that unmanned delivery?
Yeah, I mean, in our view, it really has to be a single kind of trusted contact. I'm certain that some percentage of consumers don't mind if, as long as there's kind of a clear, chain of custody and some sort of evidence of they came here, they opened the door, they left, and that's that. That maybe at least in my opinion, 10, 20, 30% of residents may not care about that and opt in, but that also leaves, the vast majority of residents that probably don't want somebody entering their unit. But, our, at least our opinion at this point that's yet to be proven out is, if there's a single fetch point of contact and they know it's going to be the same company and we can create a few more layers of kind of security and comfort in that process, how high does that uptick really get? And so, there's a lot of things to figure out in terms of like liability and true process, but and that just sort of generally scares us a little bit on the legal side. But at the same time, I think for it to be a truly frictionless process from the resident side, certainly even more properties are going with smart locks than they were 6 months ago, and that's only going to continue and really pick up velocity. So we want to be a really trusted sort of piece of that value chain, for access, but also just for ease of delivery and convenience.
Yeah, I can see that. So yeah, so from an integration standpoint, and you mentioned the ability for your delivery people to be able to get into spaces and that, the currently right now, are you integrated into lock platforms or access control platforms to do that, or is it still predominantly you go to the door and somebody lets you in? Like how are you doing it now?
Yeah, so we don't need to be let in, but it is property by property basis right now. So in some properties we have to rent or basically log out 3 fobs, and then we'll track chain of custody on those. We certainly prefer to have an access code that we can rotate. There are so many platforms out there that it hasn't made sense to integrate with one. So we would personally love to have a few bigger options where it's a large percentage of our client base that we can justify an integration, but that just really hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, no, I've got a newsletter that goes out on multifamily access control. It goes out tomorrow, and it's around this idea that like our industry as a whole, we innovate a lot around technology, but not business practices. And I do believe the feature of our industry, which has been fragmentation and sort of all of these sort of specialized players, is actually becoming a bug as external needs come in, because the ability for you to know who to integrate with on when it changes like building by building, and unless you are the only company that doesn't have resource limitations, it becomes unwielding to try to integrate with all of them. So
Exactly.
yeah, there's something's going to have to give on that end, otherwise, because it's too complicated at this point. And I think our business practices need to change probably more than our technology practices.
I couldn't agree more. And I think, there's a couple of companies that are trying to basically, aggregate, at least on the access side, plug into all the APIs of whoever is working at each community. And then, theoretically, we could just integrate with them and they've done all the legwork. I think companies that are doing that and sort of plugging into as many of these platforms as possible and then providing value kind of to the other side of that chain, that I think that's a really good place to be right now.
I agree. Yeah, it's there's definitely an opportunity for that sort of middleware, if you would. So
Mhm.
cool. Is there anything you're looking for? Partners. Everyone's looking for more customers, so you can't use that one. But is there anything that you're looking for?
We're always looking for partnerships. Kind of, you know, we're starting to talk to more of the smart home, players, but also really any amenity that we can sort of partner with to give a joint sell. to communities as well, because we're in the delivery space. We're focused on packages and generally anything that we can deliver. But there's so many other amenity players out there that if we can partner and really provide kind of a single pitch, single price point and make everything more simplified for property owners and managers, we're always talking to potential partners in that sense.
All right, wonderful. And if people want to find out more information, where's the best place to do that?
Yeah, so just go to our website, fetchpackage.com, and you can find out more on there.
Cool. Well, thank you. It's impressive. You can definitely see a need. And Matt, who that's how we've met, speaks very highly of the organization. You've got good people, and so it'd be exciting to see what you do. I think you definitely you're onto something, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck. So thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks again for having me on.
No problem. Thank you.